There's a new term floating around. You've probably heard it, food noise. It sounds clinical, almost clever, and it's being used to sell you a drug that promises to shut it off. I want to tell you why that term is insulting at best and I feel dangerous at worst. Now, let's be clear about what we're actually talking about here. We're not talking about wanting a vegetable. Nobody's typically lying awake at 11 p.m. fantasizing about broccoli. What we're talking about are out of control cravings for the sugar, for extra drinks or cocktails, for the processed carb heavy foods. Uh, Typically, we call them junk foods that over the years quietly create health problems and weight gain for so many women that they're desperately trying to solve. And here's who this is really for. The people who have lived with this for years, sometimes decades, not a bad week, but a lifetime pattern. So when the pharmaceutical industry rebrands that lived experience as food noise, something to simply switch off with a weekly injection, I think we need to stop and ask, what are we actually silencing? Here's why this term is actually insulting, I feel. It takes something real, a genuine signal from your body and your life, and rebrands it as a malfunction, a glitch, static to be muted. But cravings are not noise, is meaningless. This isn't meaningless. When a craving has been running the show for years, it's not your body malfunctioning. It's your body communicating. And there are only two things it is ever trying to tell you. The first is hunger, straightforward, physical, biological hunger, and it almost always comes from one place, the diet epidemic. Decades of being told to restrict, to eat less, to fear protein, fear fat, fear carbs, fear food in general. So what happens? Women undereat all day and significantly undereat, and then the body does exactly what it's designed to do when it's starved of fuel. It demands fast energy, sugars, starch, anything dense and immediate. This is not weakness. This is not a lack of willpower. This is physiology. Every single time, without exception, undereating during the day creates intense cravings later when you do this pattern for years on end. If you've ever white knuckled it through breakfast and lunch only to find yourself unable to stop eating by 9 p.m., that was never a character flaw. That was biology doing precisely what biology does. So when a craving shows up after a day of restriction, it's not noise. It's your body quite literally asking to be fed. And so the second cause runs even deeper, chronic unresolved emotional stress. You can suppress an emotion. You can distract from it, medicate around it, push it down again and again, but suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It stays in the body, in the nervous system, and it shows up later as anxiety, as relationship strain, as burnout, as physical illness, and very often as a craving you can't explain and can't control. So here's what I've seen over 22 plus years of doing this work. Chronic addictive level cravings almost always trace back to something unresolved, frequently something that began in childhood, stress that was never processed, safety that was never fully felt. And when that goes unaddressed, the pattern doesn't fade with time. It repeats. It compounds. It creates more stress, okay? It compounds significantly in my experience, which creates more cravings, which creates worse health outcomes, and the cycle feeds itself for years. That craving isn't random. It isn't noise. It is old unprocessed emotion finally asking to be felt. So now you can see why this